So recently, one of our community members reached out with a question about fasting. Not a dramatic question, not a frustrated one, just an honest question. They said essentially, why does fasting seem to be working and then it stopped and it doesn't seem to be working anymore? They hadn't quit. They hadn't changed much. They were still showing up, but something felt different. And as soon as I read that message, I knew something important. That story isn't unique. I hear versions of it all the time from people who are thoughtful, consistent, and genuinely trying to take care of their health. See if you recognize yourself. You start fasting, and at first it works. Hunger decreases, energy improves, blood sugars stabilize, the weight begins to move, the scale looks great, food feels quieter, decision-making feels simpler, and it almost feels effortless. And then, quietly, you feel something shift. Nothing fell apart, no big mistakes, just a growing sense that what once was supportive now feels harder. Harder. Okay, and I'm not sure where that's coming from, y'all. All right. And hello, y'all. Here you are. I think one of my things here is playing. Hold on a second, y'all. Let me get rid of that. Let's see. Where is that coming from? There we go. Hey, I love it. I love it. I love it. We are live, y'all. We're live. Here we go. So let's see, where was I? So if you've ever asked that question about why things seem to start working and then they stop working, then this is you. You're in the right place. You're absolutely in the right place tonight, because what we're doing is we are dealing with that question. And that question is not failure. If you are new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. And we're doing that not with superhuman strength. What we want is we want to have a strategy we can trust. We want a system we can rely on, and support and determination to show up intentionally and consistently for the people and moments that matter. Whether you're joining me live or watching on the replay, I'm really glad that you're here. Whether you're joining us from your city, your town, your state, or even another country, welcome. Go ahead and drop new in the comments, because if you are new, because we want to give you a hand clap on some music, and let you know that we're glad that you're here. If you've got questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat, and make sure you put a Q in front of it so we know that that's a question that we need to get to, so we can get part of that. So just before sure to put that question in. And a special shout out to our accelerator members. We're always glad that you're here and that you are a part of our community. You know, real life is important. And so before we go any further, we want to take a look at what's been going on with some real data. All right, you're going to take a look at my data, and I've got my meters off to the side. I've got my Dexcom Clarity Report, which is right down below me, and I've got my Freestyle and my Dexcom CGMs that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. So why don't we just go ahead and let's jump over and do that right now. And so the first thing I want to look at is I want to look at my monitors, and these are my continuous glucose monitors. I have two, as you know. I wear one. I wear a Freestyle Libre. This is a Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, and then I use a Dexcom on the other side. And of course, that Libre just lost the signal there, but that's okay. So here is this is my Dexcom, and this is a G7, as I said. And this one, I was traveling, and it went out while I was away, came back, and this morning, actually just a little before we came on, I put that on. And so what you're seeing here is what's been going over the last just a little bit, 140s, and so right there, that's lunch into supper, and down into 139 is where we are right now. If I look at my report, and this is 14 days, 138 average, 6.6 is where we've been. And if I look at the 90-day average, 120, and we usually tell people we want their average blood sugars to be between 100 and 120, and that's what you're seeing there, with a glucose management indicator of 6.2. Okay, so let's go back over and let's see if the Dex. Okay, so here's my Libre, and so right now the Libre says that my average blood sugar is 100. Now, one thing for those of you who are out there and you're watching, you'll notice that there's a difference, and so sometimes people will get a bit anxious because there is a difference. These meters, all of them, and we'll see these other meters here in just a little while, are allowed to be about 20% different from each other. So if you have a blood sugar of 100, if you get another meter, it can be anywhere from 80 to 120. Okay, so that's within the range. And so what you're seeing right now is blood sugar of 99. If I look at my reports, time and range, and we're looking at this, these big numbers right here, I'm in range 97% of the time. This is my 7-day average. Let's go to the 90-day average. And the reason I always jump there is because your A1C, when they check it, is based on that 90 days. Okay, so 94% in range. You'll see 6% lows, and that's usually when I'm fasting. If I get out of this and look at my average glucose for the last 14 days, 101, and you remember that the Dexcom said my average was about 130. And looking at this number right here, my 90-day average is 96. And I love the breakdown that it gives here because this tells me what's going on at different times of the day. Okay, so I love that graph. We will do a show where I actually show you my numbers, and these were my last set of numbers that I got when I got my blood work when I went to see my doctor recently. Okay, so we will take a look at that. Now let's hop over, and I want to look at what's going on here with these guys. And let me change this back to so you can see what the actual number is. There we go. And so here is my Keto Mojo, and here is my Dexcom, sorry, not Dexcom, but my Contour. And let's hop over here for a minute so I can grab my trusty container. So I need a brown for glucose for the Keto Mojo. I need a blue for ketones. I need a Lancet, and I'm going to grab 2 just in case. As you guys know, sometimes I have to stick myself again. And then, of course, some strips for the Contour. So let's go ahead and get that out. All right, so here is my Contour. I'm going to open up the Keto Mojo, and this is the test strip for that. And at the same time, while I get this in here, I'm going to also open up, and here is the strip for ketones. Now, what do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? So I have not been fasting since last week when we ended. I'm going to just put this off to the side for a minute. And get one of these Lancets. And I usually don't use a lancing device, so I'm just going to grab a finger. And let's see, let's grab that one right there. All right, and ow, ow, ow. Hopefully that gives me a good, yep, there you go. A good brisk drop. Get that started and get this started. And let's put this back up on the screen so we can see where we are. So 110 is what the Contour says. The sorry, the Keto Mojo says 110. The Contour says 119. You'll see right there that the Freestyle says 97. And then, if you remember, let's go back here. The Dexcom said that we were 145. So really, the odd man out right now is the Dexcom. Okay, so these are different from each other, but much closer than what the Dexcom is showing. So the Dexcom is showing, if we take this as the highest of the three, 120 average, so the Dexcom is about 25 points higher than these, okay? Let's go ahead and get this out, get this off of the screen, and let's see what my ketones are. And I should still be able to get, I hope. Let's see, hopefully that didn't dry too much. Let's see. I think I may have to, yeah, y'all, I have to get another stick. I was talking too much, and that drop dried. So let's go ahead and get another strip and put that in here, and we'll grab another lancet, and I need to get another stick. And there we are. So I just need to make sure that I get those those done quickly. All right, so here we are. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So point 1 is what we're seeing right here. And remember, for ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. And we talk more about those as we do some of our fasting shows. But that's where we are right now. So I'm in the normal range, which is expected because I have not been fasting. Okay, so when I look at the data, when I look at glucose, when I look at ketones, for example, in this case, and when I showed my weight, I'm looking at the data, and I'm not evaluating success or failure. I'm observing responses. So these numbers show me how my body is adapting to what I'm asking of it. They help me see patterns, not pass judgment, and that's an important one. So the question guiding us tonight is simple and powerful. What is my body responding to right now? So when you're looking at those numbers, what is my body responding to? I can't tell you the number of times that I've talked to people who say things like, well, I don't get on the scale because the scale depresses me. Or I don't check my blood sugars because they're always high. Or I don't look at a particular piece of data, whatever the data is, right? So whether it's blood pressure or weight, because they said that causes a shift in the thought process. Data is data, and data has no harm until we give it a meaning. So I get on the scale. I get on the scale in the morning. I get on the scale in the evening. I check my blood sugars. You guys see me with my monitors. I look at my ketones. Why? Because I love looking at the data, because the data simply directs me on what I need to adjust, right? So this is not judgment. This is simply, hey, that's what it is. And so the question is, what is my body responding to right now, okay? And so that's the foundation question of what we do. Right, so let's look at some, and we'll talk more about those as we get into the rest of the show. So let's go ahead, and I do see some of our community members out there. So let's go ahead and let's say hello before we hop into our discussion. And let's see, let's get this one over here. And I see Gian out there. Hey Gian, how are you? She says, hi doctor, and want to get that off of here. Just a second, y'all. There we go. She says, hi, doctor, and hi, LLG. Teresa, hey, doctor, and Gian. Hey, Teresa, what's going on? Glad that you're here. And Gian says, she said, I'm tired. Teresa said, I'm tired. Gian said, of course, I'm sorry. And Gian, point one. Now, Gian, were you guessing at point one, or is that just you repeating what that was? I think you were just repeating. And then here's Steve. Steve says, hello, friends. Gian, hi, Steve. And then, of course, Teresa say hi to everyone. So once again, so I'm glad that you all are here. This is one of those topics and one of those discussions that a lot of people are interested in, because we hear all of this information now that's out there, because fasting has become this amazing process that everybody is looking at to right metabolism and to do so much. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's hop into our discussion. All right, so last week we released our foundations episode exploring why fasting works early and then gets harder over time. So we're now in the lab and we're slowing down and we're watching how it shows up in real life. That's what this next segment is for. Right? So this is where we look and we orient and we try to see what patterns we're seeing in our lives. This conversation is for people who've seen progress. For instance, they're fasting, they have fasted, and they've gotten some amazing benefits, and then noticed that maintaining started to feel harder. Not because the effort changed, not because effort disappeared, not because discipline got worse, but because the body's response shifted. And this is where we're looking, and that's where people find their problem. Let me be honest. A lot of people will have benefits and have good results in their health. Like, people will lose weight. People will have better blood pressure, have better blood sugars. They will have better cholesterol, right? All the things that we talk about, yes. The question is not whether we can have it. The question is, how do we maintain it? And so what we're doing is we're learning to recognize patterns in timing, in pressure, that's stress, recovery, with structure, so that the body's signals make sense as they unfold, as they happen. Because if we don't do that, then people get frustrated. And if you're watching this segment on its own, you don't need anything else. We're going to look at this. We're going to develop it right here. If you have not done so, though, the foundations episode that came out last week, make sure you watch that. Okay. And so here's how we're going to work in this space. I'm going to walk us through a small set of guided questions, and I want you to reflect quietly, or you can share. Whatever works for you right now. You can put it in the journal, you can share it in the chat. The goal is simply to notice what shows up as we go. These questions help patterns become visible. And when patterns are visible, decisions become simpler. It's simpler when I know what's going on. Okay? So let's begin where patterns usually show up first. Not in the numbers themselves, but in timing. So here's the first question. You've been fasting, and you had some results. Your weight started going down. Your blood pressure was better. Your blood sugars got better. Your doctor took you off of some medications. And then it changed. And here's the question. When did fasting start feeling harder? When did you have to begin doing more? Not the exact date, not the exact meal, but the time. What was happening around that time? Did you have some success? Did you have some good weeks? Did you have some amazing weeks? Did that weight go down so quickly and you started telling everybody, hey, guess what? I see it. Look at this. You got to come do the same thing with me. So you had some amazing weeks. Your blood sugar was better. Did it happen after travel? So you took a trip. It was after your anniversary. It was after the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving. What happened on the trip? Was it after a schedule change? Maybe you got a new job. Maybe there's been some transition in your home. Maybe you're in a different shift. Maybe you and your family are doing different things now. The kids are in more sports. The kids have more activities. Maybe you have a little one that's now out of daycare and they're in preschool, or they're in whatever grades they are. Maybe it's a high schooler. Maybe it's one of your children has just moved out into college. Maybe you've retired. What has happened? What's the timing? What was going on when you started noticing that, man, I'm doing the same things. I've not changed my schedule. I'm eating the same. I'm sleeping. I'm doing the same thing, but hey, all these other things seem not to be able to keep me in the place where I was. Whatever your marker was, right? And there's lots of different markers we can talk about. I mentioned a few of them: blood sugars, weight, cholesterol, energy, right? So that's a big one. Was it a new project at work? New responsibility? Because here's something important. Patterns show up in time, not just in effort. Most people say, I didn't change anything. And that may be true behaviorally, right? Because we're sitting down like, well, I'm not doing anything different. But timing changes even when behaviors don't. Right? Your different times of eating, different, right? So there's something different. Maybe your sleep timing is different. Maybe you have switched or shifted the recovery between workouts. So we tell people, we want you to walk. We want you to go do strength training. We want all these things that we're telling that we are trying to do. And are we giving enough space? Maybe the timing is different. And the body responds to timing first. I want you to get that. Before you ever see something show up in your fasting, before you ever see that marker that ends up happening, the blood sugars are a little higher, the weight's a little higher, right? Before that happens, the body's already responding to whatever change has been made. So once timing shifts, the next thing to look at, and remember, we're being detectives now. So the question is, what is going on that's causing this tool that I've been using to not be giving me the same benefit? And so we're now working as detectives to try to figure that out. So number one, is it a timing issue? Number two, right? Once timing shifts, the next thing to look at is what filled that space. Because when time changes, demand often follows. Right? What pressures or what stresses increased around that time? Right? So it didn't just change, right? There are some things that went on around it. And let me be very clear here. Stress does not have to feel dramatic. Pressure doesn't have to feel dramatic. You don't have to feel anxious. You don't have to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to feel like, oh my God, the house is burning down and things are just going haywire. Most people will tell me, I'm not a stressor. A lot of people say that. Say, I don't stress. But here's the thing. That may be true psychologically, but your body still carries the stress. The body still carries the demand. And when the body's doing that, it has to respond in a way that keeps you going but it's dealing with it on the inside. That's why when I talk to people, I often tell them, hey, we need to get that out somehow. They say, oh, I don't like talking to people. Whatever it is, right? So there's something in there. And the body's dealing with it. That's what it does. But it's dealing with it by adjusting other things around you and within you. And that shows up as, oh my goodness, guess what? This fasting is not working anymore. Maybe there's some decision load. Maybe you have more decisions to make. You have more responsibilities. There's mental effort. More things at your job. Maybe you have seasonal work where there's certain times of the year where you are more involved. Maybe you're at the end of the year, right? So you're part of the accounting team. You know, it's coming up to tax season. Maybe you're part of that. Maybe you're a teacher and it's getting back into school now, and you've been off in the summer, and there's a change there, and there is more that's coming. There's more load, there's more decisions, there's more stuff, there's more training. Maybe there's an emotional component. Changes within the family. We've had some losses. We've had some separations. We've had some fractured families. We've had some even good things, y'all. So kids are off to college now. We're empty nesters. We've retired and we're planning to travel. Maybe there's some uncertainty. New goals. We sat down as a family and we decided that, hey, this is what we're going to do. We are on a trek, my family and I, to see some games before a certain person gets out of our house, right? Before he leaves. And so we're on that trek. New goals. And so whenever we see something, guess what? We've got to travel. We've got to get ready. We've got to find the hotel. We've got to find the car. We've got to get the plane tickets. All of that, even though that's fun. New goals, new uncertainties, new deadlines, new emotions. So even good things can increase stress. And if we're not mindful of that, then we see these changes in our metabolism and we're confused and we make one of two choices. Well, one of three. Either we stay the course, we throw our hands up and say, well, this is not working. Or guess what we do? We intensify it. It's like, I'm going to do more. I'm going to push harder. I got to eat less. I'm going to fast more. Bigger fasting, longer fasting. I'm going to do a week, a month. So preparation requires energy. And so when the body is uncertain, when stress increases, the body's preparing for something. It's not sure what, but something is different. And so the body says, hey, I got to get ready. I got to conserve. I've got to retain. I've got to keep. And so the same things that we were doing before, in terms of fasting, we start to see that the weight's not changing, the blood sugar's not going down, the blood pressure is actually going back up, cholesterol is higher, they're putting me back on medication, and that can be frustrating. So preparation requires energy when the body's preparing, and that energy shows up as glucose availability. Hey, higher numbers because I need more energy. Hunger signals. So if I need more energy, I'm going to have a higher blood sugar. Guess what I have to make you do? I have to make you eat more. And I'm conserving more because I'm unsure, and so my weight is higher. And this is because you're weak, but your body is trying to stay stable. So now that we asked a different question, a different kind of question, not about what was added, but about what was taken away. So here's the next one. What did you remove, but you didn't replace? And this one actually is huge because this actually falls in line with how we behave. In fact, it falls in line with how our healthcare system works. Fasting removes food exposure. We eat less. It removes insulin signaling. It removes structure. It removes it actually creates a relief, right? Because we've taken all this stuff out, and guess what? We're great. We're not eating that much, so blood sugars go down. We're not eating that much, so weight goes down, right? So all this stuff is happening, and we removed all those things, but we didn't fill it with something else. One of the most challenging things that we see are people who are trying to stop smoking. Right? We see it all the time in the practice. And people are trying to stop smoking. And one of the mistakes that we as a society make, and even we think about food as well, is we take away the thing that's been giving comfort, we take away the thing that's been giving relief, and we don't replace it with anything. And so that person now is excited about, oh man, I'm going to stop smoking. I'm not going to do it anymore. And they head out, cigarette's gone, but we never put anything in its place. Well, what do I do now when I wake up in the morning when I'm used to grabbing a cigarette and some coffee? I grab the coffee, but wait a minute, right? So there is a combination there. So we didn't put anything in its place. So something is going to replace it. And after a while, what ends up happening is we kind of drift back. So the removal creates a void. Removal creates some benefit. But early benefit is not regulation. Just because you didn't smoke today doesn't mean that the craving is gone and the activity surrounding is gone. We have not put a new pattern there. And so same thing in the body. We're fasting and we're getting benefit. We took some stuff away, but we didn't put anything in its place. So what happened? What did you take away, but you didn't replace? Did you lengthen your fast without stabilizing your recovery, without doing the things that needed to be done so that the fast can be successful? Did you reduce your meals without increasing the structure? So I'm just going to fast. I'm going to fast today. Oh, maybe I'll fast tomorrow. Well, I'm going to fast on Friday. Well, next week I'm going to fast on Tuesday. This week I'm going to do 16 hours. Next week I'm going to do 2 hours. It's not predictable. Did you add in some training, right? So you're doing, man, we told you that you needed to exercise. So now you're walking, now you're strength training, you're jogging, you're doing Zumba, you're doing yoga, you're like the super exerciser. But you didn't add rest as part of the package. And so the body says, hey, I like the fact that we're exercising now. I like the fact that we are doing some things for benefit, but I don't have any time to recover. And so if I don't have any time to recover, I'm gonna, boom. I gotta hold on to this stuff. And so the fasting becomes harder or less effective. Did you stack fasting on top of an already demanding life? One of the things we talk about when we talk about fasting is that we don't want to be fasting in a highly stressful environment because lots of things happen there. I won't go into all the physiology, but your life is already full of stress and pressure, and now we add fasting on top of that. And so the body says, well, I'm already stressed, and now I don't even know when I'm going to get any food. So guess what? I'm going to hold on. I'm going to prepare, right? I'm going to be vigilant. Removal helps in the short term. Stability sustains in the long term. If your body doesn't know what replaces what was removed, it is on high alert. It is very vigilant. And this brings us naturally to the next layer. Because once things are removed, the body starts asking a simple question. Do I know what comes next? So same fasting window each time. Is that what we do? Same recovery pattern each time. Same meal structure each time. Same rhythm each time. Or does fasting start and end differently every week? Reliability is not about duration. It's about repetition. So if I fast 16 hours and every week is different, that's less of a rhythm than if I fast 2 hours every week at the same time. So two people can fast the same number of hours and have completely different outcomes. One body is experiencing fasting as a rhythm, and the other as waiting. Same fast, different interpretation, different physiology. And now here's where things often turn inward. Because once the experience changes, we all start explaining it to ourselves. Right? So we have a way of interpreting it, because nothing really has an effect until we give it meaning. And this one is subtle, but it's powerful. And the question is, what story are you telling yourself when fasting gets harder? Did you say the fasting stopped working? Yeah, this doesn't work. Yeah, I used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. Well, the fasting hasn't changed, right? Do you say, I need more discipline? Man, I've just got to buckle down and do more. I've got to just white knuckle. Do you say I have to push harder? Well, I know I'm doing a 24-hour, so now I'm going to do a 48-hour. And wow, look at that. That's not giving me the benefit, so I'm going to do a 72 hours now. And then I'm going to do 4 days, 96 hours. So I just have to push harder. If I were stronger, if I would just pay more attention, do we tell ourselves, you know what? I really can't do this. I can't keep this up. All of that matters. Those interpretations matter, not because our thoughts are magic, because meaning changes stress signals. Oh man, this right here. What you tell yourself about fasting, in fact, what you tell yourself about everything affects physiology. When you tell yourself fasting stopped working, the body hears loss of control. Like, I have no control. It's out of my hands. And if it's out of my hands, then I might as well do whatever I want. I have no control anyway. When you tell yourself you need more discipline, the body hears urgency. Like, man, I got to do more. I just got to get in there. I've got to buck up. I've got to soldier up. I've got to cowboy up. Whatever the phrases are that we use. When you tell yourself you can't sustain this, the body prepares for failure, because what we tell ourselves, the body will make come true. Because if you can't do it, if you can't keep it up, I'm going to find every way I can to make that true. And whenever any of that happens, the body stays vigilant. And vigilance looks like conservation. Conservation in energy, weight gain. Conservation in free-floating energy, higher blood sugars. Conservation in I need to get more energy, increased appetite. And all of that leads to downstream to something else. Hunger, fatigue, resistance. All of that. Simply because of the stories that we're telling. And now we arrive probably, I shouldn't say probably, right? At the most important question. Not a judgment question, but a design question. If the change was useful information, so we've been fasting, it worked, we got the benefits, and then it seemed to stop working. If we see that simply as information and not as a judgment about what I'm doing, whether I can do it, any of those things, if we just see it as a piece of data, what does it suggest that you need to adjust? Not what you should do more of, because we've already been doing that. Not how you should push harder, but what part of your design needs refinement? Is it the rhythm that you have? Is it the daily pattern that you've developed? Is it the course of your life? Is it the things that you do, the certainty that you've built into your life? Is it the recovery that you've built in? Like, I work hard, I play hard, I recover hard. Or am I just working, or playing, or exercising, or fasting? Is there a time of recovery? Is there predictability? Every Tuesday we start fasting. Every Wednesday we fast. Every whatever the day is. Is there a decision structure in your life? Or is everything kind of a shotgun approach? Do you have a way of making decisions in your life? Not just for your health, but for everything. Is there structure there? Does your environment support fasting? Or is there candy, cookies, cake around, and so you're hyper-vigilant, causing stress? Because intensity amplifies uncertainty. Design restores trust. And the body responds to trust. That number that we're seeing is the end result of the changes the body is already seeing and responding to. Let me say this clearly. Hunger returning is not weakness. Fatigue showing up is not failure. Resistance is not rebellion. These are protective responses. The body is not resisting fasting because it's tired of not eating. It's resisting uncertainty. Say it again. It's resisting uncertainty. It's not sure. And when the system feels settled, fasting feels supportive. When predictability quietly disappears, fasting starts to feel expensive. And that doesn't mean fasting isn't for you. It means the design around fasting changed, even if you didn't realize it. If you recognize yourself in any of that, I want you to sit with that. Just write in your journal. Say me. Put it in the comments. If you didn't recognize yourself yet, that's okay. Sometimes insight shows up later. When you're walking, when you're cooking, or lying in bed tonight, that's often when the real work begins. When hunger comes back, people often think they're weak. When the fatigue is there, they're like, man, wow, I'm doing all of this and I'm still not feeling better. And so we throw our hands up. When we recognize the signs, when we recognize the patterns, then we're able to make decisions more clearly. When we see that, that's what we want. That's the point. Not to push harder, not to do more, but how do I be a detective of myself, detective of my body, so that I can understand and make better decisions down the road. Sit with that. Understand that. That's the point of the lab, for us to look at those patterns, because the questions that we go through reveal patterns. Patterns help understanding, and understanding helps us to design systems that last a long time. Stay by. All right, y'all. So as always, I want to remind you that this space exists in order to help us have success in our health. And everything that we do is based on our triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the podcasts, with the blogs, the Foundations episode that comes out the week before. That is part of that education, to change our mindset, to help you to understand, to help you to know how the body works. We educate, we empower with the tools. That's why we do the lab, so that you have a microscope into you, into your body, so that you can see those patterns. Because if you can see the patterns, then you can make decisions. And we empower with this amazing community that you are part of. Change happens all the time. People get benefit all the time. But the question is, are we able to maintain it? Diagnosis, teaching happens on the show, right? So we've got the Foundation series that comes out the week before. Diagnosis happens here, and change happens in design, in your environment, in your life, every day. It happens on Monday morning. When you hit the ground. It happens on holidays and vacations. It happens when somebody gets on your nerve at home. That's where it happens. That's where the things that you learn, the tools that you get, that's where it shows up. Before we jump back into our talk and see what's going on with our community members, I want to mention something for those of you who like to reflect on this kind of work, and you want to do it more personally. Each week, I send out a short Woode Life Design brief, just one focused idea to help you think, evaluate, and design your health and your life more intentionally. No hype, no overwhelm, just something you can sit with during the week. If that sounds helpful, go ahead and go to DwainWoodeMD.com/briefs, DwainWoodeMD.com/briefs, or WoodeLifeDesign.com, right? And you can sign up there for that. Like I said, it's a weekly email that comes out. You can take a look when it's convenient for you. But it is an amazing way for you to take what we're doing and begin to apply it and work it into your life. Because I love, right? I love the fact that you're here. I love the fact that you're listening. I love the fact that you're watching. I love the fact that you even share it with other people. But you know what gives me immense gratitude and immense pleasure is when I hear people say that it has made a difference, that today I did X and I'm seeing that benefit. When I hear people sending back their messages from the Woode Life Design Brief, and they're saying, hey, I implemented this and I'm seeing this happening. That is where this needs to happen. It needs to go from here into your everyday, because that's the benefit. We get benefits all the time, but can it last? And how do we implement that in our lives? I want to make sure that you do that. All right, so let's see. Let's get back over here. I was going back to our community members, and I think I was here. So here's Teresa. I'm just going to listen, but I love you guys. Okay, so thank you, Teresa, for coming by. And then Jennifer says, "Howdy all," and then howdy, Jennifer. Yeah, so I love that. So y'all, as let me kind of go through that again. So our structure for the season has changed a little bit, and so the week before, like last week, we put out the Foundations episode that this show is based on. So the week before it comes out, and then the discussion happens on the show. So this is where you get to drop your questions. When I started the show at the top of the hour, I talked about a community member that sent us a message asking about fasting. That's a great way to get your questions in. Listen, watch the episode that comes out. It's usually very short. In fact, the last one I think was 12 minutes. 12 minutes, right? And it's very short. It is a encapsulated idea that you can sit down, watch, mull over, because there are questions that you have. You don't need, hour and 2 hours of that discussion. It's just a very short one. And then here we come by and we put a microscope to say, how do I recognize it in my life? How do I see myself? Do I see myself there? And if I do, now I understand what's been going on. Okay, so it comes out the week before on DwainWoodeMD Live. We examine that. We look at it. We will continue doing this week our fasting. So we'll start our fasting tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we'll pop up again there. This is the last live. Remember last season, we did lives on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So this is the live show, right? This is DwainWoodeMD Live. We do our pop-up fasting as we go through the week. We will have our after the show for our community members. So look for that link coming up here in just a minute. And the Woode Life Design Briefs. Now, if you are new to fasting, if you want to understand fasting, if you want to jumpstart fasting, if you want to get more information about fasting, you can also go to DwainWoodeMD.com/fasting. And there is a PDF primer that I created that you could download to tell you how to fast successfully and how to start fasting safely. That's a great one. You also get, I think it's 5 or 6 emails that come from me over the next 21 days. It's not like spamming your email. It's just to help you as you're walking through that information to give you some tips and some things to think about as you are implementing this, right? So DwainWoodeMD.com/fasting to get that primer on fasting. I'm always excited when I get to come here and be with you. I love hearing the benefits that you're getting, that you're seeing. And like I said, when I get those emails from those who are on or signed up for the Woode Life Design Brief, I love to hear them say the benefits that they're seeing. We've got community members who are off medication, people who have lost weight, people who, all the things that we're talking about. And I want to make sure that you are getting those benefits, but more than that, I want to make sure that you are be able to maintain and sustain it. Because as you are scouring, you hear, hey, lose weight in 30 days, right? You've seen it. Lose 100 pounds in whatever, 6 months. Or reverse diabetes. Or whatever it is. And that's great. I love that. And there is a place for that. There's a place for us to say that as well. Let's do it. Let's understand the physiology. Let's understand how to do it. Let's get the tips, the tricks. Let's get the hacks. Let's get all that. But show me somebody 5 years from now, 4 years from now, 2 years from now, who is still maintaining. That's success right there. And that's the benefit. Those people who are on GLP-1 receptor agonists, those medications that people are using to lose weight, I love them. I use them in my practice all the time. In fact, I use them. Right? So there's nothing wrong with them. But the question is, are we also learning the backstory? Are we learning the behavior? Are we learning the things that are going on in our bodies that help to support what the medication is doing? I'm doing a talk coming up here in March, by the way, and that link will show up somewhere. I'm doing a talk on managing patients with diabetes. And I'm talking about how our current system is structured and why it is that we have so many people, we continue to have more and more resources, continue to have more and more medication, continue to have more and more stuff, but we're still having, and they tell me now, over 500 million people, over 500 million people in the world that are diabetic. And we're not even talking about prediabetes and obesity and high blood pressure, high cholesterol, coronary artery disease, and all those different things. But we want to make sure that you are successful. Hey, y'all, as always, thank you for coming through. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being in this space. We look forward to seeing you. Oh yeah, let me say that. So our episode, our Foundations episode is coming out here in another day or so. That will be there on Monday of next week. We will not have a DwainWoodeMD live. In fact, next week we'll be a little off schedule, so we won't have a DwainWoodeMD live next Monday, but we will be back the week after that. Okay, so we will have the Foundations episode, so keep an eye out for those. Come on, enjoy, watch. We'll have something in this space, but it won't be a live show over the next this Monday coming. We'll be back the week after that. Okay, so thank you for being here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. Go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, not by more, not by pressing more, but by finding and designing a structure we can trust, a plan we can follow, and the support and determination to keep showing up every single time intentionally, so we can be there for our family and our friends and all those things that we have poured so much into. Thank you for being here, everybody. Good night. And for our community members, look out for that link that will come up in just a little while. Good night, everybody.